If you have solved the problem in your life, you're qualified to start an education business. Not just any business, one that can generate serious income as a single person with almost zero startup costs using knowledge you already have. When most people think about starting a business, they imagine needing a revolutionary idea. They think they need to build the next Uber or create some groundbreaking app. They spend months brainstorming in coffee shops, convinced they need to invent something the world has never seen before. But here's what they're missing. There's already a profitable business model right in front of them, and it doesn't require venture capital, a technical co-founder, or even a business degree. Let me paint a picture. Someone has a late night conversation with friends, maybe a few drinks involved, and suddenly they have what feels like $1 million idea. A new social media platform, an app that does something slightly different than existing apps, a marketplace for something incredibly niche. They get excited. They start planning, maybe they even sketch out some wireframes or business plans. Then reality hits. Building software requires technical skills they don't have. Launching a physical product requires manufacturing connections and capital. Creating a new marketplace means convincing both sides, buyers and sellers, to use an untested platform. The brutal truth: most big ideas fail not because they are bad, but because they are solving problems that don't actually exist, or they are solving them in ways that require massive resources to execute. Meanwhile, there's a different path that successful entrepreneurs have been quietly taking for years. Think about this. People are currently making hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars per year, solving problems in fitness, productivity, relationships, career development, and lifestyle design. Why? Because these are problems every single person experiences. They prevent people from doing the one thing everyone actually wants: enjoying their life. And here's the key insight: the best person to solve a problem isn't always the world's leading expert. Sometimes it's the person who just figured it out themselves and can relate to where you are right now. There's this concept many people struggle with called imposter syndrome. It's the feeling that you're not good enough, not experienced enough, not credentialed enough to teach others. But consider this perspective. People often learn best from those who are just a few steps ahead of them. Think about fitness. Would the average person try to lose 20 pounds rather work with an Olympic athlete whose entire life revolves around training, or someone who recently lost 25 pounds themselves and understands exactly what it's like to juggle a busy schedule, cravings, and motivational issues? The Olympic athlete might have superior knowledge, but the gap between where the student is and where the teacher is creates anxiety and overwhelm. The person who's just ahead, they remember what it was like. They speak the same language. They face the same obstacles yesterday. This applies to everything. You don't need to be a productivity guru running $1 billion company to help someone who can only focus for 15 minutes learn to focus for 2 hours. You don't need to be a best-selling author to teach someone how to write their first article. You don't need a finance degree to help someone create their first budget. Imposter syndrome gets solved with one thing: honesty. Be transparent about where you are in your journey and exactly what you help people with. The market doesn't need more fake promises. It needs authentic guidance from people who are a few steps ahead of them. Something fundamental is changing in how education and work function in our society. For thousands of years, humans were essentially entrepreneurs, serving their communities, solving problems, creating value directly. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and we shifted this model of centralized education and employment. Go to school for 16 plus years, get a job, work in a cubicle doing repetitive tasks. But that model is breaking down. Consider what philosopher Aristotle wrote about. Work is necessary for survival, but leisure, purposeful time spent on personal development and relationships, is what makes us human. For too long, work has been divorced from meaning, just a way to pay bills. Now, we are seeing a shift back. Technology has enabled what some call the creator economy. Individuals educating, inspiring, and helping others while building sustainable income, doing work they actually find meaningful. This isn't about everyone becoming an influencer or YouTuber. It's about recognizing that creative, educational work is becoming the dominant form of value creation in an increasingly automated world. Traditional labor is being automated. Manufacturing is being roboticized. Even knowledge work is being augmented by AI. What remains valuable is the uniquely human ability to teach, guide, synthesize information, and help others transform their lives. So what does an education business actually look like? There are three main models. Model 1, tutorials and tutoring. Sell beginner level instruction in a specific skill. Web design, music production, writing, cooking, personal finance. Anything you know how to do can be packaged as a tutorial or tutoring service. Model 2, programs and coaching. Create an action plan or program people can follow. This works especially well for fitness, productivity, habit formation, or any process-oriented transformation. Model 3, systems and consulting. Package your knowledge as a system that solves a specific problem. Content creation frameworks, lead generation processes, business operation systems. These are valuable to people trying to achieve similar outcomes. The beauty of these models, you can study what's already working. Look at creators in your space. Analyze their content, their offers, their landing pages. This isn't about copying. It's about understanding what resonates with audiences and adapting it to a unique perspective and approach. Now, let me share a framework that maps out how a one-person education business actually scales. This follows what could be called an evolution law. Work evolves to earn more in the time allotted, rather than just expanding to fill available time. Stage 1. Start with client work. When you're beginning without an audience, client work is your fastest path to income. Charge between $1,000 to $10,000 per client for coaching, consulting, or tutoring. You only need 2 to 3 clients to replace a typical salary. This is what I do for my personal training services. At this stage, you might spend 1 hour daily on outreach to potential clients, 3 to 5 hours weekly on sales conversations, 2 to 4 hours weekly delivering to clients, 1 hour daily creating content to build your audience. Stage 2, build your audience and evolve. As you gain clients to create content, something shifts. You can't scale one-on-one time infinitely, so you need to evolve how you deliver value. This is where you build an audience through consistent content. Writing is the most time-efficient method. Shift from individual to group coaching models. Create curriculum or programs that reduce your delivery time. Use your audience as your marketing engine, reducing outreach time. Now, the same 4 hours of work can generate $300,000 to $500,000 annually instead of $100,000. Stage 3, productize and scale. The final evolution is moving from time-based delivery to product-based delivery. Launch cohort-based programs that serve many people at once. Create standalone digital products that sell while you sleep. Potentially step away from client work entirely. Focus on content creation and product improvement. At this stage, the same time investment can generate $1 million plus annually. The key principle throughout, you're not working more hours, you're evolving what you do in those hours to create more value with less direct time input. Here's what often gets missed in conversations about business. This isn't just about making money. It's about reclaiming the human experience of meaningful work. When work becomes creative rather than repetitive, when it solves real problems rather than just filling time, when it allows for growth and self-expression, that's when it stops feeling like work in the negative sense. Money in this context becomes what some might call a spiritual energy. It's a tool that allows you to solve bigger problems, help more people, and continue evolving. It's the external representation of the value you have created for others. The people who dismiss making more money as unnecessary often haven't experienced what it's like to have the freedom and leverage to build things that matter to them. They're often still stuck in survival mode, or they've settled into comfort that feels more like stagnation. There's nothing virtuous about artificial limitation. If you can help more people solve bigger problems and create more value, why wouldn't you? Now, let me be clear about something important. This path isn't easy just because it's simple. Building an education business requires skill acquisition. You need to learn marketing, content creation, sales, product development, and how to actually get results for people. It's complex work that demands a complex mind. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not a paint-by-numbers system where you just follow steps and money appears. It requires months of creating content before seeing traction, continuous learning and adaptation, dealing with criticism and self-doubt, failing, adjusting, and trying again. Building skills that schools don't teach. But here's the trade-off. You're building something that's actually yours. You're developing capabilities that can't be taken away. You're creating value on your own terms. Compare that to the safe path of traditional employment, where you have no control, where your income is capped, where you're building someone else's dream instead of your own. Which one is actually riskier? If you have read this far, you're probably in one of two camps. Either you're thinking, this makes sense, but where do I actually start? Or you're thinking, this sounds interesting, but I don't know if I'm ready. Both reactions are normal. This is genuinely complex. and there's a learning curve. The traditional education system taught you to wait for instructions, to follow the curriculum someone else designed, to get permission before taking action. Breaking free from that conditioning is part of the journey. But here's what successful people in this space understand. You don't need to figure everything out before you start. You need to start before you figure everything out. You learn by doing. You get clarity through action. You build confidence by getting results, even small ones. The education business model, solving your own problems and selling the solution, isn't just a business strategy. It's a philosophy for meaningful living in an age where traditional paths are crumbling. If you're someone who wants to build something of your own, who has knowledge or experience worth sharing, who wants to help others while creating freedom for yourself, this path exists. It's real. People are doing it successfully right now. The question is whether you're ready to start. For those who want structured guidance on this journey, how to identify what to teach, how to create content that attracts the right people, how to package your knowledge, how to make your first sale, and how to scale systematically, that's exactly what the One Person Business Academy was created for. It's a community focused entirely on helping people build education businesses from scratch. Step-by-step frameworks, templates, and a network of others on the same path. Not just theory, practical implementation of everything we've discussed here. If this resonates with you and you want to explore it further, you'll find a link in the description. But whether you join that or not, I'll leave you with this. The barrier between where you are now and where you want to be isn't as big as it feels. It's not your lack of credentials, your imperfect knowledge, or your non-existent business degree. Trust me, you don't need one. This is coming from someone who has a business and management degree. It's the decision to start treating your knowledge as valuable, to see yourself as someone who can solve problems for others, to take the leap from consumer to creator. Everything else, that's just skill acquisition, and skills can be learned. The world needs what you know. The only question is whether you will share it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.